I think what you'll find is that you might be working with in engineers and others, but you'll be working with, sometimes it's with, I mean, if you saw in Letitia's presentation, sometimes it's property developers, sometimes it's with community activists, sometimes you work with international donors. That example I kept on referring to, the story about Beirut. I mean, when a city is destroyed like that, for instance, what you may have seen, the French have gone in. You'll see United Nations moving in with food supplies. You'll see reconstruction projects going on. So in an instance like that, you'll be working with just about everyone. We often work, when we work with communities, when we do community development, you'll work with people who work with infrastructure, civil engineers, for instance. Sometimes you'll be involved with landscape architects, urban designers, also architects. Depends what kind of work. If you're working high income, sort of posh kind of development, it's very much the interior designers, it's engineers, it's very high level, and architects. But if it's more community based and infrastructure, it's civil engineering, construction managers, and others. It could also be with banks and financiers, as I think Letitia indicated, the construction management presentation. So construction economics, sorry, I keep on getting them wrong. But yeah, so you'll definitely be working with a wide range of professionals. And then, as I said, the community and the politicians, it makes it very exciting. It's a very lively discipline, I would say.
Okay,
I hope that helps.
thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you. I understand. I'm going to ask another question.
Please do.
As like a town and regional planner, once you have your degree, is it possible to probably like start your own practice or any type of thing like that?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of our students actually do that. I think it's an area where I think there's a lot of scope, and as I said, I think there's a lot of scope in terms of that new space developing between technology and space, how we make sense of our surroundings, how we report on that. So yeah, definitely. Okay, cheers, Duncan. I hope to see you soon. But yeah, Basibulela, I think yeah, it's a very wide. I mean, but there are companies, so you could join. But also, I have had students. I had one student who now also teaches in the program who got a Fulbright scholarship, went to the States, did a master's at Georgia Tech, came back, started his own company, and is employing some of my recent graduates as well. So it offers that as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Hi, Charles. Good to see you in our session.
Hi, Prof. I just saw now you forgot to start the recording, but I've done it already. It's fine.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, my mistake. Apologies for that.
No problem. No problem. You guys still have questions for Prof? Basabulela and Nozipo, are you guys happy? Okay, Nozipo, I see your hand is up.
I'd like to thank Prof for answering our questions. I think I had what I wanted to hear.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
One thing I want to ask is that as a matric student, I do 9 subjects. I want to ask if you guys do you count EGD and civil technology when you count the points?
Sipo, I would be lying, and I generally don't like doing that, and sort of unless under extreme duress. But I think it's an important point. I do know that university has its own way of calculating, but if you've got 9 subjects, I'm quite convinced that you should be able to definitely get into most of our programs, because nine subject students are hard workers. So I don't think that should be a worry. But just to answer your question fully, I would check on the UP website, and if you don't get joy from the website, you're welcome to write to me again, and then I can direct you to the right person. I know last year my daughter had similar questions, and I know at school sometimes teachers aren't always clear, or I think sometimes they prefer not to be too clear about whether certain subjects count or not. But please do write to us. My email address, I'm quite sure if you just go and check on our website, you'll find it there. And even if you don't want to come to planning, I mean, I'll direct you to the right person. I see Prof. Alta van der Merwe has joined. She's one of my bosses. I think Prof. Alta, don't you please want to assist Nosipo? Don't you please want to ask Prof. Alta your question again? I'm quite sure she'll be able to give you spot on the right answer. Thanks.
Morning, Prof. Alta. My question was, I wanted to ask if, as a matric student, I do 9 subjects. My 9 subjects include EGD and civil woodworking technology. I wanted to ask if in town regional planning, do you guys include EGD and civil in counting your points, your APS score?
I'm not sure, Mark. You give me the answer to that I have to give this answer. I'm not sure whether it counts in the APC. No, in your score. I'm not sure whether it's counting. I'm not sure. The best will be if you send me or Mark and a mail, and then we can take it up with the student admin because they know exactly which subjects count towards the APS.
If I may come back again, sorry for just jumping in like that. Just to the subjects we are really interested in, the languages as indicated, and then maths. So beyond that, I don't think it should be a problem. But please do write to us. Thanks, Prof. Alta, for your input. Basibulela, you were quite lively earlier on this morning with your questions. I really haven't had a lot of student contact, so you're welcome. You don't want to ask anything else, Nosipo, you're welcome as well. But as I say, Basibulela, I saw you were quite keen to ask questions.
Have they asked you, Prof, about the career opportunities which are out there for after they have gotten their degree from your department? Did they ask what type of careers await them when they are done studying?
Yes, Charles, shall I answer? Okay, so career opportunities, as I indicated, in all 3 spheres of government, we work in most municipalities in South Africa. What makes that, I suppose, what makes that use the word nice, but what is interesting about that is you are really able to work throughout the country. So often students do a degree and then they say, yeah, but I'll only be able to work, for instance, in the city or in large towns or so. If you are keen to work, and it might not be for life, but a few years in other places, then I think planning offers that opportunity because we work in all provinces. We work in many government departments. As indicated, we also work in private sector. We work with communities, but we work throughout the country. So yeah, that is actually, as I said, I think quite a benefit of town and regional planning. It's not just focused on large places. It's throughout the country. Thanks, Charles. And yeah, for now, I think maybe just to say, jobs are tight everywhere. I think let's be honest about that. But we've still, from our side, I think again because we work both sides, private and government, our students have generally still managed to find employment. So I'm always very glad to see and hear about that because you sort of have such pain for your students when they finish and they can't find a job. I think that's the most devastating thing. I think students don't realize how that hurts us as well. But I do think I can really say that there are many opportunities and yeah. So whatever the future brings, I think it's a good discipline to be in. Thanks, Charles.
All right, Prof, thank you for your response. I see our students have asked all their questions and I assume they are happy. Prof, if I can maybe ask another question on their behalf. Can I work overseas with the degree I got from town and regional planning from tax? Can I work abroad?
Charles, yeah, great question. Yes. Our students work everywhere. So they work in other countries on the African continent. I've got a student now who's working in Ghana, I heard the other day. So, I mean, they study in universities throughout the continent, but also other continents. We've got a lot of students who are working in the UK, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, Singapore. I've got a student that I know about. There's one in Hong Kong. So America, Canada, as I say, I mean everywhere. Students, it's a very good degree from that perspective. Our degree is recognized as well by other institutes because we're professional disciplines. So, for instance, it's the Royal Town Planning Institute, the biggest one of that nature. So they recognize our degree. The American Council of Planners recognize our degree. So yeah, definitely, it is a mobile degree. Thanks, Charles. Basibulela, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. I've got this another question. Can I please ask can you talk about the working hours of a town and regional planner and how flexible they are? Are we working a normal 8 to 5 or are they like, I don't know.
Yeah, good question. Let me just see if I can get my camera up and going here. I've got a thing on the machine. We'll see if it will pick it up now. Oh yeah, there. Let me go. Okay, great. It's terrible. Old miserable old people with earphones. But sorry. Can you see me?
Yes, yes, we can see you.
Okay. Okay, great. Thanks, Charles. I hope I'm not going to chow all your data. Basibulela, it's actually, I mean, I always say to people, I work all the time. I never really stop working. So wherever you are, whoever you meet, what's the beauty of planning? I mean, if I go to the mall today, I see things that I wonder about them. I see how did they place this thing here? Why is the taxi rank not inside the mall? Why did they make it as unsafe as they have? Where do they place different shops in the mall? Who's shopping? Who's not shopping? So what's online? What's not? You know, where's that move happening? What the future of malls is? Is this are shopping centers on the way out? Is online retail going to be the future? So I'm constantly thinking about things. But as a planner in government, I would say you get out a lot. You have to go and meet communities. You meet other stakeholders. Say if you're working in Gauteng province, you'd be traveling up to Tshwane regularly to meet with the planners here, to meet with the politicians. We in a strange way, we often control a lot of money, so to speak, in terms of investment. Because government invests, as you've seen now also with this COVID response, the 500 billion that government has plowed in additional money that's been allocated. And I'm not talking about the corruption side of it, but I'm talking about the honest, the decent side of it. A lot of that money needs to be allocated. You might have seen the installment of water facilities for communities that in informal areas don't have water. That needs to be planned. That needs to be rolled out. Where do we place those water tankers? Who builds? Which contractors do we use? How do we involve local communities? So your life is very busy, but I would say it's possible to shape your day, your weekends. I mean, I sometimes work till late at night, early morning, and then the next day I would say I'm not always at my best. So by 11 o'clock, I'm up and running again. But I work till the job is done, and I think many of my colleagues do the same. So I would say, I mean, I think it's an exciting life and it's an exciting career. I would argue. Okay, thanks, Charles, and Basibulela for your question. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Prof, for your response. Guys, do you have another question? I don't know if Prof, they know that they're actually talking to the head of department. I would have so many questions for the head of department.
I'm actually pleased they maybe if they don't know that, Charles. I mean, I really, I mean, it's yeah. I'm just as I say, I'm just another explorer, and I really that's how we see our students as well. I think it's a very friendly, very homely department, and I'm not saying it to make it sound nicer than what it is. I've been there all my life, so I suppose, and I wouldn't have stayed. I can assure you, both Basabulela, Nasipa, and Charles. I mean, I can assure you, I really, I'm not saying I get bored quickly or I tire quickly of things, but we invest in our students, we invest, and we are invested in this country and in making things better. I think in our case, the slogan still holds: a better life for all. So I do hope we, yeah, I really, I do hope it's interesting enough for you to consider.
Yeah,
Thanks, Charles.
thank you, Prof. Maybe, okay, Basabulela, I see your mic is on. Do you want to say something again?
Yes, I just want to ask one last time. Does Prof probably know when the academic year will proceed next year? Sure.
Good question. And look, I'll tell you, I was really, this semester was tough on everyone. I think was a miserable couple of months, and it still continues for the country. We were hoping to see our students again. I think if you, even if you just come and say hi when you're on campus next year, even if you didn't come to us, or you're very welcome. But as I say, I think we all enjoy what we're doing, and we enjoy the engagement with students. But I really enjoy the classroom setting, and so we hoping and praying that it will start as soon as possible again. But yeah, as far as I know, we finish on the 15th of December, and so I don't see us not starting on time next year. So we normally start at the end of January. And we haven't been given any indication that it won't be the case this year. So I really do hope that it's going to be like that again. So yeah, let's all hold thumbs, and it seems we're getting past. Hopefully, it's the peak and not the first peak, but it seems we're getting past this peak of COVID, and that we will all be able to. And I really hope for your sake as well. I mean, that you can be on campus next year. It's very different. This is useful, the online, but the contact teaching and the contact on campus, it's amazing. It really is. It's an incredible time for a young person. I mean, for anyone. But I really do hope that you can have that experience as well. I know you didn't ask that, Basibulela, but you see, that's why, Charles, that's a problem. If you've got the HOD in a session, then you get that response where you simply just wanted to know a simple date. When do we start? But so sorry for that.
Thank you, Prof, for your response. I see Johan has just joined us. Johan, your mic, you can switch on your mic or send a chat to ask Prof a question. He is more than happy to answer your question. Johan, can you hear us? You can switch on your mic or maybe type a question on the chat box.
Yes, thank you, Charles. I can hear you clearly.
Perfect. Do you have any question for Prof or anything you want to know about town and regional planning?
How many job opportunities are there now at this stage for this type of
Johan, I think I got the start of your question. So maybe while you and if I didn't answer, and if you've got another a second part to it, but I think it's a good question, and I think it's something that students want to know. I indicated earlier on to Nosipo and Basabulela. It's a planning. We work on both sides of the fence, both private sector and public sector. So which means government and business. So we work in a variety of settings, and so it's, and again, not to compare to other disciplines, but what often happens, say for instance in construction, when there aren't that many projects out there when developments stop, as they've been doing, unfortunately, of late due to COVID and the economic crisis we're in. We're still working because we work for government. So you may have seen the big rollouts that government has been making, de-densifying some of our informal areas, rolling out water provision, Zozo tanks, etc., in townships and in rural areas. So that work also needs to be planned. That continues. So we in a way, it's quite it's an important discipline. And it's something, it's one of government services that it provides. So government needs to continue providing these services. So in the built environment, it most probably is one of the safer, and again, not to with any disregard to my colleagues, but it's one of the safer disciplines, I would say, in terms of job security. But short answer, times are tough at the moment. They're tough everywhere. I really, as I say, I think, but you also need to, for yourselves, you need to also plan, I would say, for the future, because you're starting, say you've grade 12 now, you'll be starting next year. So it's 4 years. By the time you enter the job market, it's 2024, 2025, 2026. So by then, the world has changed again. So I think these are tough times. We'll get through them. But you have to think about 5-6 years ahead and then the rest of your life. But yeah, good questions. Thanks, Johan.
Hi, Prof. I have yet another
Hi.
question. Can we talk about the module build-up of town and regional planning? And are the subjects in the course quite different from what you get in high school? We hear stuff like town and regional planning needs like, or actually needs the works with geography in this sense. It kind of borderlines there. And to think about it, I don't take the subject, and I kind of am a commerce student. So can you talk about the subject in which we will be working with next year and the modules?
Great. I think for those of you who have geography at school, there are modules that are, I would say, they build up from what you did at school and they continue. They deepen things and so forth. We also do economics, sociology, stats. Stats is very much like maths. In our own work, we need to be able to work with numbers. We quantify things. So if we do a study, we need to know how many people are living in an area, how many people have access to water, how many people have jobs, what is the income. If you're a developer, you want to know what is the disposable income. If you want to build a shopping center, is it going to be 10,000 square meters, 20,000? So there's a mathematical dimension to it. So again, relating back to school, that would come into the equation. A lot of it is I often say to people, it's not difficult. It's making sense of things. It's getting to know people. So there'll be modules that I think school has prepared you for. It's not difficult, but it's a lot, and it requires you to be passionate about it. The more passion you bring, I think the easier it becomes. If you don't enjoy it, and that's why I say I wouldn't want anyone to do planning who doesn't want to do it, because if you're not enjoying it, it is a drag, and that I wouldn't wish upon you. But it delves into just about everything: government, politics, economics, people, maths. Yeah, as I say, I think but high school, a good matric is a very solid foundation for planning. I don't know anyone else. Uh, um, I see there's Basibulele, you're welcome. Johan, you're welcome. Kaone, you're welcome. Nazipa, you're welcome as well. Anything. As I say, how long have they given us? Is it up until 12 o'clock? But if you want to join another session as well, you're welcome to do so as well. But anything you'd like to talk about, we Rosipo, please go ahead.
Prof, I wanted to ask that how many students do you guys usually get admitted?
Okay. Yeah, I think great question. I said earlier on, it's not a big department, and we develop a very close relationship, students with each other and staff with students. So we really invested in that. But we tend to take anything between 30 and about 45 students per year. And I would say sometimes we've taken more, but then it's up to about 50 or so, mid 50s. And then by the time students graduate, normally it's about 30, 35 or so per annum. Yeah, so that's I think what you'll be looking at.
Okay, well, Prof, I have no more questions, so I will be joining the other Q&A sessions. But thank you for answering all my questions.
It's a pleasure, and good luck and all the best with the year, and I hope your matric works out well. Are you back at school yet? When are you going back?
Sir, we already back at school. We just took the break that the president had announced, and then yeah, we are back at school. And most of our subjects we have already done with. We are done with the curriculum, and so we just going through past papers and preparations for trials.
Okay, good luck with that. Those past papers are really useful, I can assure you. So yeah, enjoy it, and all the best. Bye bye, Basibulela. Nasipa, you're welcome.
Um, Sir, I wanted to ask, as matric students, since we didn't do second term, since I don't have June results, um, do I submit March results and trial results with final results only, or?
I think it's also something you're welcome if you want to email us, and we'll be able to respond to that and give you exactly the right answer. As far as I know, what we've done in the past is faculty admin looks at your grade 11 results, and then they use that as a base. But in the end, the result that matters is what you're working on now. So yeah. So I think that's. Sorry, I don't know if anyone else wanted to also. Thanks, Adriana. Thanks. Yeah, so it should be. We will look at the. But as I say, I mean, for now, do your best. Get the best grades you possibly can, and work very hard because these results matter. The matric result, that certificate, it's of enormous value for the rest of your life. But short answer, we'll look at. They look at grade 11, and then this one that you're working on now. Johan, anything more from your side? Hi, Emily. Good to see you.
Hello, Prof. Thank you. Thank you so much for addressing the learners and the presentation. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Prof.
No, it's a pleasure. I'm just glad everything worked out well. I see Johan is listening in on our private discussion. Yeah, I don't know, Johan. Come on, give us. You're welcome to ask another question. Or Adriana, I'm going to put you on the spot. Adriana, your
We
mic
can't
isn't
we
on.
can't hear you, Adriana.
You see,
We can't hear you.
no, I'm pushing so many buttons today in between everything that I sometimes forget where I am. But I am really excited about the students in the Q&A sessions. It's really awesome to hear the questions of the students, and even in the chat boxes, the questions that they type. And because we are recording it, it's going to be available for everyone who actually missed out on today as well. So I just think it's awesome. And I don't know, Prof, but I just feel we reached so many more today in a different way than maybe if we only had a few students who were able to attend on a face-to-face. So I would be interesting to know how many students you usually get in a face-to-face EBIT week in relation to your online numbers. Do you perhaps know?
Thanks, Adriana. I think Emily will be able to also assist in that regard. But we only started, we only joined the EBIT week at quite a late stage. I'd say most probably last 3 or 4 years at most.
Yes.
It generally is. Sorry, Emily. Yeah, please go ahead. I mean, you'll be able to give the detail.
No,
You want to
Prof,
switch my mic?
please go ahead. No, Prof can go ahead.
I think, thanks, Emily. I think generally it's not that many, and I think there most probably it's 7 or 8 or so is the number I have in my head. But I think what you're saying, I think this actually gives a much wider reach. I think the benefit of something like this, and whatever happens in future, I think we should definitely consider having open days and things in this format. Because I mean, people that are anyone can log in, and that's the beauty of it. You know, whether you're Eastern Cape or Northern Cape, and you thousands of kilometers away from Tshwane, you can join. So I think no, I think great, and well done to. I mean, well done to. While we, yeah, Charles, I think please you welcome. I'm sure you can stop now. But I think well done to all of you. I mean, I think this. I was dubious, as you know. I mean, I was just thinking this is such a big thing. It's such short notice, and we haven't practiced. You know,
Yeah.
I don't like going into something. You know, I mean, in practice, I mean, if we actually, I'm used to prepping. You know, we prep quite a lot before we go into big meetings with, especially with politicians and others. Okay, I see there's a student joining. I know Sifo's coming back, but yeah. So I mean, no, I'm very impressed with what you've done today. This is great. So
Thanks very much, Prof. Yeah, it's a team effort. So
Thanks,
let's
Prof.
continue
Yeah.
the day. Yeah. So I'm going to say goodbye and enjoy the last part of your Q&A session, Prof. I'm going to hop to another session. Have a nice afternoon.
Great.
Yeah, me too. I just
Thanks,
wanna
you
opt
too.
for another session, Prof. Bye.
Bye bye.
Prof, hi.
Hi,
It's
Charles.
Can you see my video?
I can see you. What do they say? Loud and clear. But I mean, I don't know what videos are. I mean, they're just clear. But
Yeah.
I'm seeing you. Great. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Prof. I must say, I really enjoyed your presentation. It was
Thanks.
very, especially making it relevant to what is currently happening in the world at large, not only focusing on South Africa. But you know, like you were saying about what's happening in Lebanon, my thought was how do, like, okay, for instance, there was plannings or buildings which were abolished and scattered. What's the first, who's the first people to actually come and see those buildings to be built? Where do town and regional planners come in? Do they come in once the geologists have came and surveyed the land? Like, where do you guys come in? Maybe say there's a big project and then there's a tender, and then we have our geologists, our soil engineers. Where as a town planner, do you come in the planning or do you come later on? I just wanted to understand that.
No, I think it's a very good point. I would say we come in at quite a I'd say quite an early stage, and we stay on the project. When I was looking at Letitia's presentation,
Yes.
I see Basopelella's coming back again, but I think it's sometimes property developers see themselves as the coordinators of a project. I would say that we join very early because before anything gets done, these days we actually have participation and processes in which we actually try to understand what it is that people need. I think what you've been seeing maybe as well in Lebanon is how people have been venting their anger at their leaders. And I think that's the kind of thing that we also try to attend to, so that what people need and what they would like to see, the two sides, what they need and what they want, that we also balance that. But so we start very early, so that whatever is built is necessary, and people want it, they like it. So there's also that side of it. It's not just because a person is poor, a person must just be content. And I think that's a question as well, I suppose, about whose lives matter and what it is that matters about what people want. So it's about respect as well. So we get involved at a very early stage, and we ensure that, I suppose, I suppose the issue is that we would then do the social side of it, the engagement. We would get involved. We would look at the soils, as you say, is it suitable? Because some soil, it might be the right spot, but the soil isn't suitable for the kind of building. If it's a 10-story building, the foundations might be too expensive to build or so. So we'll then go for a dispersed, maybe break it down into two structures of fewer stories and spread them, or maybe even have it, if we find that it's difficult for people to get to a central point, we might distribute facilities in a settlement. So it's those kind of questions. They all have, it's a constant engagement, what the people want, what the budget allows, what the space enables us to do. So yeah, but thanks. Yeah, I think a great question. Basibulela, I think we also have a new student learner, Kamugelo. Basibulela, you had your hand up again, I saw.
Yes, sir, I'm back. I
Great.
wanted to ask an interesting question. As a town and regional planner, do we spend time on site? And how long would that be? Or are we normally in the office and kind of planning there, or do we go on site and work on there as well?
Yes. Yeah, you go on site. I suppose site in our case often means let's be sort of make it very practical. We started a project now for the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. So they're responsible for not just food and food security, but also for settlement planning. So we're starting with a project, it's called the Karoo Regional Spatial Development Framework. So it involves 42 municipalities, 4 provinces, and thousands of communities. So when you're saying site, we will be going for the next 18 months. We're working on this we are partnered to a bigger consortium as some of us in the department. So we'll be going to communities, traveling to different people, places, sitting with old people, young people, people that have jobs, people that don't have jobs, people that want to invest. We'll be looking at investments like shale gas. So we go and look at that site and say, but what's going to happen if we start fracking in the Karoo? We'll be going to see where people have started, where young people have started new activities, new ventures, new economic activities, cooperatives, individuals. So you're constantly moving around and traveling. I've most probably through planning, through my work, I've seen just about every part of the country, and I count myself very fortunate to have done that. But and sometimes, yeah, as I say, I mean, I've been on properties. When I was young, I did a lot of work around nursery schools and early childhood development centers, as they're called now, and I used to have to go and look on site whether there's enough facility or space for the provision of the facilities that young children need, whether it's safe, whether the fence is in the right place, whether it's not too close, or whether it's in terms of where shebeens and taverns and things are. And so yeah, you do get around. I can assure you, if you're interested in that, you'll definitely get around.
Awesome. Thank you, Prof, for your kind response. Kamugelo, do you have anything you want to ask Prof regarding town and regional planning? You can turn on your mic and ask Prof any question, or you can type in your question on the chats. Kamugelo? All right, looks like he's having a problem with connection. Yes, he has a connection problem, Prof. I don't know if you can see that.
I see. I see. Dosipo or Basabulela. I mean, Basabulela. I sort of get a sense that I do think you should consider this. The one thing, maybe to also say, I think the one thing that is important is curiosity, and you seem to have a lot of that. So I think that's great. Yeah. So do consider us. I'm not trying to sell you something, but I also, when I see someone who I think might enjoy it, then I do try to sell it. So
So I am interested in town and regional planning. I have applied for it. But then it's a career that people don't really talk about. I heard about it from my a family friend actually, and she was like, "It's a really great opportunity. I do plan on developing the country as a whole, but then I just didn't know how to enter into that sphere, if you understand." And um, I tried quantity surveying and other um, courses as well. I tried to look at that. And I also looked at engineering, but then the thing is that needed science, and I don't take science, I take business instead. So to get a space that you can also um, help it or develop the country, but not needing science, kind of really made me interested in this course as well. So yes, thank you, Prof, for answering all my questions. Sorry.
you're welcome. Yeah, no, I think the fact that as you're saying, I mean, that you need that passion, that desire to change things. And what we bring is it's assisting you to develop the necessary skills, be they to convince people to want to listen. What is it that people are saying? What is it that's paining them? What do they want to see happen? And to put that into different formats. Sometimes you need to speak to investors in a particular way. So you take a community's wishes and you turn it into something that would excite them as well, so that they will, their pockets open, their purses open. Um, so I think that's one. You need to talk to politicians. You need to talk to other professionals. And so those languages. And so language is crucial. As I said, maths to me is a language. But it's that what will drive you is that desire to see change in the country. The rest will follow, and you'll acquire skills as you go along. Whether you need to do another course. My son's been doing all these courses he did engineering at Tux on Udemy of late. And so, I mean, once you've got this base in planning, I think all the other things will follow. But yeah, I mean, as I say, I hope you do find your way to us next year. Kamogelo, let me just quickly see your question. What kind of people? Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think the one thing is, I always say to people, and I know it's a bit of a cliche also, but you need to like people. You need to enjoy people. Hear their stories, what makes them tick, what really doesn't make them tick, what upsets them. You need to understand anger. You need to understand why people are upset. You need to understand, I suppose, also you need to have an appreciation of history. And I think in this country, and well, in all countries, there's a problem. There are people that are very rich, and there are millions, billions of people that are very poor. And you need to understand, how do we start changing that? And I think that will be the biggest challenge for your generation. One is the climate challenge. How do we overcome the damage we've done, the lifestyles we've developed? So there's a question about different technologies, but there's also a question about different societies, and it's how those two get together. I think things change in strange ways in the world, but appreciation for change, a desire for change in the right direction, to be part of that, and to assist people who want to do the right things. That's how I've always sort of seen what I hope we are doing. When I work as a consultant as well, and most of the work I do is for government, I really try to get invested in a project, in a community, And I really, as I say, I really try to, in a way, get the best out of the people on the team. So it's also the interest in a person, to see what that person wants to do, and then to be their hands, their feet, their support. I think it's you need to be confident, but you also need to take a backseat in a way. So it's very much about getting people, assisting them, building people, building politicians, building the mayor of a town or city, assisting a traditional leader, gently nudging people in different directions, helping them. Sometimes you work for private sector people who just want to make money. And I'm not saying, I mean, everyone, we need to eat. But I think if your only interest is to make money, we also sometimes, in many subtle ways, you try to facilitate a person into a different place, to make them see a different side of the world, to make them see the necessity to add value to people's lives. So I think it's that kind of it's very much a go-between kind of a role, but definitely passionate, eager to learn, curious, worker. I think those things are important. So I hope that's answered your question, Kamogelo. I don't find it hard. I'll be honest. I enjoy what I do. I really, really enjoy what I do. So I've never seen it as, and I'm really not kidding you. I mean, I'm old, as you can see. I've just got about no hair left, and so, but I really enjoy what I do. So I never see it as hard. But I suppose to constantly be better at what you're doing, you have to put in the hours. I don't mind doing that, but if I didn't enjoy it, I think it would have been much harder. But yeah, I think sometimes the disappointment is enormous. I've been working for a particular individual in government for about 6 years now, on a variety of things. And sometimes I think I've really got a very good idea how we can do something. And he often isn't that excited about what I want to propose, or he says he can't, his minister won't like it, or he doesn't think there'll be money for this or that. And then you have to go home, and then, I mean, I'm not saying you cry, but it's close to crying. It's sad. Then tomorrow morning you wake up again, you start again. So that disappointment, I think, is something that I would say you need to be able to work with, because there's a lot of that. Yeah, I hope, I hope it's answered your question. Basabulela, you had another hand up?
Yes, sir. As you're explaining, more questions come to mind. I just wanted to know. I know everyone starts from the bottom and as they build up, but like when you're done with your degree, where does town and regional planning put you in the working sector?
Okay. It's in government, if you were to go and work in government or in municipalities or so, and that's where a lot of our students end up going. You actually arrive at a very good place. Your salary is the same in municipalities and government as an engineer or an architect. So our students often, I would say, most probably after 5 years or so, they earn more than their professors do. And I'm not saying that if for any other, it's a fact. As I'm sure you've heard me, you've been here all morning, Basibulela, and Charles as well. I talk a lot, and I'm sure you might think wherever. But but yeah, I mean, it's you do earn a good salary. It's a professional. You register professionally, so you're part of a group of people who are in a profession. When you go to the bank, they regard you as a professional when you need to go and make a loan, whether it's buying a car or a house or taking a loan for whatever reason. They treat you as a professional. So it's from that side, I think it's a great entry point into life, into the world of work. Any other questions? Kamogelo, Basibulela? If I may ask, I mean, just by the way, where are you based? Where have you logged in from? while you're responding, maybe just quickly, Kamogelo. Yes, good question. I think one. Sorry, Basabulila. I just thought because I saw the question about the passion. Yes, I've seen both. I've seen students come into the program with a lot of passion, and then they deepen that. They develop the skills to take their passion to places to make a difference. But I've also seen people who started off, and I'm really not saying it just to sort of. I've seen students who've come in very cold. They might have wanted to do something else. Things didn't work out as they hadn't planned. We've had students come in from architecture. We were second choice, so they wanted to do architecture. They come into our program. And strangely enough, some of them, a year or two, they say, you know what, this wasn't my first choice, but I really gotten to love this. So it can be developed. But maybe the point, as I said earlier on, the managing disappointment, because as a good planner, I think you'll often have more ideas than your clients, be they community, be they government, be they private sector, be they developers. You'll often have more ideas and deeper ideas, or you'll go further than they want to go. And then you need to, as I say, take it on the chin and come back the next day. Maybe back to you, Basabulela, and Kamogelo, where are you based? Where are you from?
Sir, I'm from like a small town, in the Eastern Cape actually, and yeah, so Pretoria's quite far from home, but it's been an option since Pretoria, if I may call them, or promoters rather, do come down to Eastern Cape, and that's where I heard about UP, and I thought it was an interesting option to consider.
Okay, great. Great. I was going to ask you where in the Eastern Cape. Not that I'm saying I know the country that well, but maybe, and also if you maybe the place and then the larger place close to it, then maybe I'll be able to pin it in my head. Kamogelo, you close. I mean, you have to join us. You just round the corner, so no excuse for you. Basabulela, what is the name of your town?
I'm in Queenstown, sir. A lot of people would say they don't know, so I'm going to try and elaborate. It's basically, if you know East London, then you know Queenstown.
I do. Yeah. Buffalo City.
That's how we describe it. It's really close to East London because a lot of people know about East London. So that, yeah, the small town.
It's okay. Yeah. I was in East London end of last year. There's an interesting project two interesting projects. One is Eastern Cape has developed a small town spatial development framework, in which they're trying to develop smaller places and invest in these places in a smart way, so that they don't waste money, but also trying to connect smaller places onto a larger grid. Grid meaning sort of where things happen, flows of people, flows of economy, and so. And the other one is there's a corridor they want to develop, the R59. It runs all the way through the Eastern Cape and then joins up in the Northern Cape. Also, again, part of this initiative to connect smaller places to larger places. But I'll tell you the one thing. I mean, what you should do is Buffalo City most probably is one of the most underexplored, underdeveloped tourist jewels, I would say, in South Africa. I've worked there in the past on plans to change the harbour area, to turn it into something more like V&A as in Cape Town. But let that, be that as it may. But still, I think there should be so many more tourists in Buffalo City than what they currently are. But that's the one kind of thing, that if I were a youngster and I was from the area, I would want to become a planner and go back and work on that. Just that, to turn Buffalo City into the Cape Town of the Eastern Cape. Yeah, if it's possible, please. Please share your your videos. I'm enjoying this. And so yeah, you'll have something better to look at than an old man. Good heavens, I am sure.
Prof, I must say your humor is very funny.
Thanks, Charles.
Nosipo and Basabulele and Kamogelo, would you guys maybe share your videos so that we can see who Prof has been talking with? And you guys have really kept him very busy, and thank you for those questions. We really hope we will see you next year at the university. We really, really hope. If it's not possible, then it's fine. We would have really loved to see your faces, those smiley faces that are happy that they were part of this webinar. But if you can't, then it's okay. I hope all your questions are answered, and I hope you're happy, and I hope all questions are really answered, because this is what EBIT Week is about. We want you to leave here convinced that you want to study whatever course you have decided. And if we couldn't do that, then it's not going to be nice for us. But if you have, okay, trying to get proper lightning. Okay. Oh, all right. Okay, there's
That's,
Basabulelo.
that's great.
All right,
Hi,
good to see you.
Wonderful.
it's me, Zipo.
I know Zippo. Good to see you.
Hi. Prof, can I ask something?
You're
I
welcome.
wanted to ask that do you know any places around Durban that have town planning projects?
Okay. As we've been saying, Durban, of course, eThekwini, Metro. I mean, it's the. I mean, I wonder if in 5 years' time we'll still be using the old names. But so Durban, eThekwini, there's a lot. I think at one point, and I'm going back when President Mbeki, early 2000s, he started with something which is called the Urban Renewal Program. He had two. Integrated Sustainable Rural Development Program, looking at smaller places. I Charles. and one of the sites, obviously, it's he was looking at the poorest rural, but also trying to invest in urban spaces to rejuvenate township areas and to lift the job profiles and the spirits of the people. And so there was in eThekwini there was specific Kwamashu. There was a lot of investment. The one thing that was done at the time and completed is Warwick Junction, for instance. So those kinds of things have been done. But I do think, again, I mean, we need to think a lot harder about South Africa and about settlements. So the one thing that I think planners and well-meaning planners have done in South Africa is they've gone to what we call the apartheid city, and what they've done with the apartheid city is they've tried to make the apartheid city function better. And I was going to say to Kamogelo as well, what I often say to my students, our first prize is not to build a fast rail or a fast bus or a better taxi lane to town. We need to ask the hard question, and that's the question I was also thinking. If you think about Soshanguve, if you think about Swane, why is it that we're still developing townships as we have? Why are we not investing in housing in town? Why are we not building new low-income housing in vacant spaces? Why aren't we tearing down buildings and in town and building better housing for people? So we need to change our thinking. So the worry I have about eThekwini, for instance, is you'll know Nozipo, but what's been happening is a lot of the investment has gone up north. And a lot of that investment has gone into the Belito area, for instance, and that has drained a lot of the energy from and a lot of the job opportunity, so to speak, from eThekwini. And the south has been struggling. The townships have been struggling, and so we need to think: how do we ensure that we don't see that exit, so to speak, of the rich to the northern parts? And that's been happening in many of our cities. The rich leave, and then they leave behind cities and townships with very few job opportunities. And for people in those townships to work, they still need to travel very long distances, sometimes even further than in the past, to get to jobs and so forth. So yeah, there's a lot that needs to be done. eThekwini in particular, as much as Buffalo City is the next Cape Town in Eastern Cape, I think the same could be said that eThekwini, a lot more needs to happen and can happen. A vibrant province, wonderful people. So yeah, so I went on a bit again. I mean, but I hope, yeah. But I'm sure you've got, and I'm sure you've got ideas that what one could do in eThekwini to make things better, and that's what you'll be able to do once you've become a planner.
Prof, okay, guys, Prof, I think it's been like an hour now. I don't know if our learners still have any questions they want to ask you, but if just to let Prof know that an hour has left. So I don't know if Basabulela still has Nozipo still has a question, but I think we have exhausted our time for question and answer sessions. Prof, what do you say? Do you still want to go on and answer a few?
Charles, I can talk all day. You don't want to. You really don't want to open that door. But and as I said, I mean, we've been starved of our students with this lockdown. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm here. But I think the most probably these poor learners. I mean, I've really yeah. I hope it's been of some value, and I do hope I see both of you next year, and then we can continue these discussions. But Charles, from my side, if it's done, it's done. Thanks.
All right, Prof. Learners, if you still have maybe a few questions, I see Nozipo is happy. Thank you for answering our questions, Prof. Okay, it's
Pleasure.
Prof. So, guys, we would really love to have you next year because I think you remind me when I was in my grade 12 as well. I used to keep my professors on their knees because I asked so many questions, and here I am today, finished with my degree because of that enthusiasm. It kept me going. So it's a good spirit that I saw in you guys, and thank you for being so active. We really appreciate it. If you still have any other question, you can maybe ask your last question. If not, then thank you so much for joining the EBIT Week webinar for 2020.
From my side, thank you so much, Charles, for organizing, and thanks for your enthusiasm. I really, and your kind spirit. Basibulela Nosipo, as I say, I'm reserving 2 seats for you, and I'm really looking forward. Even if you don't come to us, just come and say hi. It'd be good to meet you in person. Thanks.
Wow. A seat already offered by the head of department. That's very generous of you, Prof. I hope they will make use of this opportunity.
No, I really do. Listen, I suppose we have to go. Yeah, have a great long weekend to everyone. And yeah, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Prof. From our side, the EBIT Week webinar, we really appreciate your kindness that you have shown to our students and for being patient with them. Thank you so much, Prof. This is what EBIT Week is about, to actually ignite that zeal for them to ask more questions and to follow their dreams. Thank you for your time, Prof. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks, Charles. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.